Hello everyone, thanks so much for tuning in again to another video. Today's video will be about Pokemon TCG content, and so over the past few weeks and several days I've been collecting more cards for decks and also for the collection, and here we have most of the ones that I've acquired from sales in the local area from local card stores, and as well as some Pokemon Series 2 stamped TCG promos from the packs and stuff from different sets. So yeah, let's go through all the cards. Alrighty, so here we have everything from the past several days. Again, from local card stores, some of the promotional Series 2 TCG packs given out at official tournaments and whatnot, as well as some useful cards for some decks. Right, so first off, we have some Super Rod. Different prints of Super Rod. Let me scoot the pile back a bit. We have different prints of Super Rod. We have two of the Paldea Evolved Super Rod. These were from a store. They had a bunch of bulk, and they're in their 10-cent pile. And then it was also buy two, get one free. This one was in their 25. It was the same store, and it's just an older art. This is from Breakthrough, from the X and Y set, I believe. Breakthrough when they had Mewtwo X and Mewtwo Y. I've never actually seen this print of Super Rod, so it's very interesting to get one of the older versions of it from X and Y. Next, we have, again, some more trainer cards. We have a special energy from Paldea Evolved. This is the Jet Energy. Whenever you attach this to one of your benched Pokemon, you switch it with your active. So basically, it's kind of like a switch or a switch card, but it's also providing energy. We also have a Level Ball from Battle Style. So this is still used in decks. You're still able to use E-cards in decks. They might rotate out soon, though, but it's always useful to have a few types of options for Pokemon search in decks. So we got another Level Ball here. Here's some older holofoils from that same store I got the previous cards at. We have this Venusaur Cosmos Holofoil from Dark Explorers in the black and white era. This is a card from 2012, so more than 10 years ago this card was printed. We also have a Haxorus card from Breakthrough, again from X and Y. This was in 2015. This card right here is very interesting. The Dark Explorer set from Black and White is an extremely rare set to come by, even when it was released all the way back in the early 2010s. I don't remember seeing many packs of it during that time, even when it was around the release date. And it's just one of those sets. The booster packs are phenomenally valuable to keep, as well as the holofoils and a lot of the staples from this set when it was still in circulation. This Venusaur in particular, it's a Cosmo Holo, so you have these little specks of shininess on the card. If I change the orientation there, it's picking up by the phone's camera light. It's a very interesting card. It's a very nice condition too. There's a few white scrapes at the bottom, but overall an interesting card. I knew when I saw this card I actually have one of them of my own. This is my second one, and I saw it and I was like, I might want to pick that up. I'm a big fan of Venusaur. I'm a big fan of Bulbasaur as well, and Dark Explorers is one of those sets you just don't see very often, so I had to take this opportunity and get myself a Venusaur. I think that was a 50-cent card at the same store. This Haxorus, very interesting. It has 3 attacks. I thought it was cool too, the artwork. It has like a collapsed Colosseum in the background. Very nice. Here's some cards just for decks. We have Rescue Carrier. You put up to 2 Pokemon each with 90 HP or less from your discard pile into your hand. Helps you recycle a ton of things. Helps you recycle some of those basics that are non-rule box Pokemon. We could help you get some stage 1s back that aren't rule box Pokemon. It helps revitalize so you could use those Pokemon again and use their abilities, their attacks, etc. We also have Avery. You draw 3 cards. If you drew any cards in this way, your opponent discards Pokemon from their bench until they have 3. So this is kind of a disruption card. It's a supporter, so you only get to play 1 supporter per turn, but it's very nice to go against something that has a ton of Pokemon on the bench. They probably can't easily get back unless they have some super rod or whatnot, but if you're in that situation, you could discard 3 of them and really disrupt the play of the opponent. Torterra from Brilliant Stars. This Pokemon, I'm trying to build a deck with it because of its Evo Press attack. This attack does 50 damage for each of your evolution Pokemon in play. There was a deck circulating around in Japan earlier this month, but it involves some Pokemon 151 cards, so it won't be a while till I put that deck together because 151 is releasing here in the US in September this year, but we could try something with this. I saw another a deck list or a data of a deck list where they're using the Kricketune, so boost its HP, and then there are other Pokemon that they threw in there for good measure. We might be able to build a deck with this. It'll be very interesting to see what we come up with. We have a Luxray here, Energy Crush Luxray, not the one that you're able to put into your bench or the active spot. I have copies of one of them. I can't remember if it's the Paldea Evolved one or the one that's from an earlier set. But here's the Energy Crush Luxray. You could use this in like a Zoroark box or something like that. You just put on a Luxio or Luxray. You need to somehow get this into play. There are not many options here, but Energy Crush, each energy attached to all of your opponent's Pokemon, that could be handy in some situations. Do some big damage, get something out of the active. The other Luxray, I think, in my opinion, are more useful because you can put that into your active. You can put that onto your bench as long as you meet the specific conditions. One of them has an attack where you're actually able to look for 2 cards, I think, 2 item cards from your deck and put them into your hand for 1 energy. And then it does 50 damage to the opponent. That's an interesting card to use. I really want to look for that card. I'll try to find a copy to show all of you. Alright, here's the Echoing Horn. This is from Chilling Reign. Put a basic Pokemon from your opponent's discard pile onto their bench. I guess the use for this Pokemon card item is to place something very weak onto the bench from their discard and then snipe that basic Pokemon, I guess. There could be a different strategy, but it's just not coming to my mind right now. Jumpluff from Fusion Strike. This is a very interesting Pokemon. It's a Rapid Strike Pokemon, and this ability, if your Pokemon is able to knock out the opponent, you could attack twice each turn. And then you'll be doing 60, technically 120 damage, because if you're able to get a knockout first, then you do another 60, so a net damage of 120. I've seen decks with that before. Right, we have a Liepard. This Liepard is kind of like the Kirlia with Refinement, but it has more HP. This ability trade, it's again like Refinement. You must discard a card from your hand in order to use this ability. Once during your turn, you may draw 2 cards. So another way to get a draw engine. You use the Liepard or you use the Kirlia. Galarian Wheezing, Energy Factory. Each basic energy attached to your Pokemon that have the word Wheezing in their name provides double dark energy. This would be interesting in a deck like, oh man, what is it? Maybe something like the Hisuian Samurott that does 60 plus 20, I think, for all of the energy attached to your Pokemon. This could be interesting for that, but other than Wheezing, the other Wheezing, I think it's also times the amount of dark energy. I can't remember right now, but doubling the energy, that could come into play. Very handy. Who knows what they're going to do with this next Wheezing in 151. We could do like a review of all the card translations. We should be able to figure something out. Kecleon. Okay, so Kecleon's ability here, this Pokemon is the same type as any basic energy attached to it. You use this with super effective glasses and basically covers all the weaknesses that you need. Very interesting card. Alright, we're getting to the Mismagius. So I have this deck, the Lunar Lunar Pain attack deck, and it uses the Mismagius as well as the Lunala, which I also have in the pile. This Mismagius is a spread Pokemon because he has Spiteful Magic. I almost said Spitting Magic. No. Spiteful Magic. This ability says if this Pokemon is full HP and is knocked out by damage from an attack on your opponent's Pokemon, put 8 damage counters on the attacker. So you could give the Mismagius a Rocky Helmet, and you'll be putting 110 damage or 11 damage counters onto the opponent when they knock it out. You also have this spread damage move. Eerie Voice, put 2 damage counters on each of your opponent's Pokemon. This is an effect, so again, something like Manaphy would not block this from affecting the opponent's bench. So what you do is you send out the Mismagius, you use the Eerie Voice, you also use the ability, you get some damage counters spread out, then you bring out the Lunala from Pokemon Celebrations, and then you double all of the damage counters, and you could get some pretty sweet multi-KOs during that strategy. Here's a Manaphy. Again, Manaphy is used to prevent all damage done to the bench from attacks, not effects, so only attacks could prevent sniping. Very useful. Cramorant. Okay, so we got a playset of Cramorant. These were in the 10-cent pile at the local card store. This is used in the so-called Lost Zone Box deck, any of those variants. You have this ability, if you have 4 or more cards in the Lost Zone, ignore all energy in this Pokemon's attack costs. So once you have 4 cards in the Lost Zone, by using Comfey's ability, or using Lost Vacuum, or Colorus Experiment, you could use Spit Innocently, which is 110, and it doesn't get affected by weakness, however, but you're still doing 110 damage for free once you get that criteria and the ability. Got a playset so we can make more Lost Box. They did have Comfey, but they're a little too expensive. Here's Clara, another recovery supporter card. So you could choose one or both, put up to 2 Pokemon from your discard pile into your hand, or put up to 2, or you could also do both, I guess, as it says. Put up to 2 basic energy cards from your discard pile into your hand. So very nice recovery card. Boss's Orders. I think this card is still going to be a staple. You get to switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with their active, switch into something that has a high retreat cost, something that has high attack cost, or a very weak Pokemon, and then get your prize card. Or stall. You could do both, actually. Rhyperior from Lost Origin. Okay, so this is an interesting card. It's a stage 2, has Geocannon. Discard the top card of your deck. If that card is an energy card, this attack does 100 more damage, and attach it to this Pokemon. Then we have 2 copies, so I think I have 2 already. So we have a playset, not a playlist. So this is an I might try something with this. It'll be single prize or doubt, but try something. We have B-Barrel, Industrious and Scissors. Once during your turn, you may draw cards until you have 5 in your hand. We also have Klefki for our stall decks. Mischievous Lock. Basic Pokemon in play have no abilities except for Mischievous Lock when it's in the active. Electric Generator for those Miraidon and Miraidon decks. You look at the top 5 cards of your deck and attach 2 basic energy cards that you find to your lightning Pokemon in any way you like. Here's one of the Luxray. This is the Paldea Evolved one. Once during your turn, if this Pokemon's in your hand, you have more prize cards remaining than your opponent, and you may put it onto your bench. Cosmog for the Lunala deck. We need more of these. There's another Cosmog. Crushing Hammer. Just a disruption card. Mismagius again. Kyogre. Okay, so this is an interesting one. Also from Celebrations. Discard the top 5 cards of your deck, then choose 2 of your opponent's benched Pokemon. This attack does 50 damage for each energy card you discarded in this way to each of those Pokemon. There's a very fun deck that has like 30 energy that runs Kyogre and Kyurem VMAX. And then you're just doing a ton of damage, sniping things on the bench. It's very interesting. Silene, a very interesting recovery card. There's actually something called the Palpad Silene Loop, where you're able to flip 2 coins, put a number of cards to the number of heads from your discard pile on top of your deck. Then you get those cards. You usually bring back a Palpad. Then you put Silene back into your deck. That's the Palpad Silene loop. It's a very interesting strategy. The next cards here are an electric generator. If we build a Miraidon Magnezone deck or something of this sort. Regieleki V as well. Snorlax. Okay, so this is in a control deck we'll be trying to make later on. The ability block, as long as this Pokemon is in the active spot, your opponent's active cannot retreat. We have a few of them. Calamitous Wasteland and Bravery Charm are from Paldea Evolved. The retreat cost of each basic non-fighting Pokemon is 1 energy more. And then Bravery Charm just adds 50 HP to the basic Pokemon it's attached to. Pokemon tool cards and item cards are now separate things, as you would notice. It says tool, not item now. Jirachi from the Legendary Treasures set all the way back in 2016. This might not be from Radiant. I forgot what it's called. Radiant Collection. I think it is because there's RC. So very interesting card. I love the holofoil on it. We also have the Altaria from Radiant Collection. Beautiful bows there. I like that. Let's go through these a bit quicker. Bravery Charm, we saw that. Tyranitar, just a cool card. Dread Mountain does a ton of damage, but you are discarding the top 4 cards. You also have Route, that does 30 damage for each of your opponent's benched Pokemon. It's a stage 2, so it's a little bit costly to put down. Paldean Tauros, this is part of a deck that utilizes a ton of attacking types to cover weaknesses. Raging Horns, 10 more damage on top of the 20 for each damage counter. Superior Energy Retrieval, this is a recovery card that's used in a lot of decks. You discard 2 and put 4 into your hand. Mimikyu, Safeguard. It can't be damaged by Pokemon EX or Pokemon V, so it's a very interesting stall card. Veluza, Slim Screw. If you have no cards in your hand, this attack could be used for water, so you could combine this with the Hisuian Arcanine. Get some pretty cool combos. Path to Peak. It prevents Pokemon with rule boxes to have any abilities. A Switch, Double Turbo, Luminous Energy. We have some Bidoof, B-Barrel for the Draw Engines, Choice Belt, Rocky Helmet, just a bunch of items, Professor's Research, Mirage Gate for Lost Box, search for 2 basic energy if you have that many in the Lost Zone, Sableye, and that's about it. Thanks so much for tuning in to this video. We have a ton more cards, and I'll be back in part 2 to go over them. Take care.